What is up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Rock Radar. And today we are talking to a very special guest, Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris, if you don't know, has done quite a lot of different things. I'd say you're mainly a writer for the most part. You also appeared on the YouTube channel Good Mythical Morning.
Let's meet our first guest.
And probably have done a lot of other things that I'm not completely sure about. So, of course, you can definitely correct me on anything that you want to correct me on there. But I'm going to pass it over to you, Jordan, just to introduce yourself to everybody. And what is going on, man?
Very wild to be introduced with. You've probably done a lot of other things.
You've probably done other things, dude. I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jordan Morris. I podcast. I occasionally appear on the YouTube show Good Mythical Morning, and I write a bunch of stuff, including comic books, which maybe we'll be talking about later in the episode. I don't know. I haven't seen any kind of breakdown, but yeah, I think they're above me right now. I think if you're watching this on a stream, you could probably see some recent comic releases above me.
They are definitely above you. And another reason we're talking to Jordan today is because we, more importantly than all of Jordan's accomplishments that he has done, is that we like a similar kind of music, which is punk music. And I'm going to pass it to John real quick just to talk about how we came in contact with you and how this even got set up. So, John, take it away.
Yeah, so my introduction, Jordan, to you was through, like you said, the show Good Mythical Morning. You've got all these crazy characters, Cotton Candy Randy, there's Michigan guy. My favorite is the California guy who loves cats. But the few times that you don't have like a kind of zany character, I noticed that you were wearing either a Less Than Jake shirt, a NoFX shirt. I think there was maybe even a 924 Gilman shirt thrown in there at some point.
There was. Good eye. Good eye.
So I'm immediately thinking this guy is one of us. And then I reached out to you and you were graciously accepted to come on. So I am super stoked, man. I've been a fan for a long time. Loving this book that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, the youth group. And got my Spider-Man pre-ordered, signed by you, so I'm stoked to get that one as well.
Hey, okay, glad to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
I also noticed when you held up your copy of Youth Group, you had sticky notes in it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, are you like reading it for a class or something?
Yeah, what is
This is my wife's copy, and she wrote down all these question points, but we'll see if we have time to get to it.
I know, I love it. Love a thorough, close
Yeah,
reader. Thank her for paying attention.
Yeah, she's been
Dude,
through it 3 times already, she said. So she's a
nice.
mega
Love to
fan.
hear it. You love to hear it. Thank you.
Of course.
I don't think I've ever read a book like that. So that is definitely impressive. Taking it's like everything, that is definitely like a college thesis thing going on there. But Jordan, we kind of first, I guess, want to talk about the main point of this channel, which is Punk Rock Radar, which is a kind of punk rock and your history and introduction to it. So like, a few of your favorite bands, how'd you get into it? And go ahead, take it away, man.
Yes, I'll do it right now. So I grew up in Orange County, California in the 90s. So, a lot of like fat bands, a lot of epitaph bands, and of course, this third wave ska revival, which everyone still loves to this day and agrees was very good. So yeah, that was like totally happening when I was a kid and in high school. And like, I was like, so stoked to start going to shows. So, I loved, I think a lot of the gateway bands at that time were your Green Days, your Rancids, your Offsprings, which are like kind of all over modern rock radio. So I like loved that stuff, but also like, when the radio stations would do, our radio station K-Rock, KROQ 106.7 did Flashback Lunch, where they would play like the Ramones and Madness and the Specials. And I like loved that stuff. So like, as soon as like I, could leave the house on my own, I wanted to start going to shows. So like, I was just like stoked to get to see all those like great bands from that era. Your NoFXs, your Vandals. Actually went to high school with the half brother of the Vandals drummer, so we got to go to like Vandals shows for free, which was like very fun. Which will impress a very small percentage of the population, but hopefully it's people listening to this show.
It's all people listening right now. They're all so they're all very impressed.
Good. Yes. No.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, the half brother of the drummer of the Vandals. This guy's cool. And and I still like love punk rock and still try and keep up with new bands. And I try and go to shows whenever my faves come to town. And I do love a trip to punk rock bowling in Vegas. That is a scuzzy good time that I enjoy
Oh,
doing most years.
I have never been. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to go to punk rock bowling. It's just been
You got to
always
do it.
so.
It's
It
so
has
much
always been
fun.
so inaccessible to me, especially when I was younger, to travel out to Vegas.
Right? Yeah.
It's. But one question I want to ask, because you wrote this book called Youth Group, which is about, I guess,
Yes.
growing up in a Christian household. So how was that? Because I grew up in a Christian household as well, so it was very difficult to try to like sneak in punk records or even listen to punk music when I started to get into it with my parents. They were very strict. Was yours kind of like that, or
You disobeyed my orders, son, why were you never born? Your brother's 10 times better than you, Jesus loves him more.
was it like a whole situation? Did they hate that you liked punk rock? Because my dad hated it.
No, I was really lucky. I think my parents, even though they like wanted us to go to church, were like pretty permissive about what we like watched and listened to. I think they were very like of the mindset that like, kids need to experience stuff, which, I know I'm kind of in the minority as far as like religious
Mhm.
parents go, because I know like I hear that from a lot of people who grew up in Christian households is like they had to sneak stuff or they had to hide their like movies and music and video games. A couple things we couldn't ingest were Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and
Yep.
Butthead was a no-no in my house because I think there was a lot of like local news mania around, Beavis and Butthead cause kids to set fires. And also Pee Wee Herman, my mom didn't like. She just said she thought he was weird and we
Yep.
couldn't watch
She
it.
was
So
right.
like,
Yep.
She's
you know,
probably right about Beavis and Butthead setting the fires and stuff like that. There probably was a few
yeah.
kids that set fires because of Beavis and
Yes.
Butthead.
Gail Morris, a wise woman. But yeah, as far as like punk music, I got to listen to, NoFX and the Vandals and Propaganda. Oh, I just heard the new Propaganda song. Oh my
Hell
God.
yeah.
Oh
Is it a
yeah.
little too is it a little too metal for my taste? Sure. But am I glad they're back? Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was really lucky. I got to like kind of enjoy that stuff, but also just a very weird little pocket of pop culture I got to experience was the like Christian punk and ska shows, which were
Yes,
their
yes.
own wacky little subculture that is kind of like still kind of fascinating to look back at. So like, there were your analogs of your big bands. Like for the kids who couldn't listen to NoFX, there was MXPX. For the kids, who couldn't listen to Less Than Jake, there was Five Iron Frenzy. And like
Yes.
some of those bands are like, were actually pretty good bands and held up pretty well, and some of them didn't. But yeah, I don't know. It was a fun little world, and they definitely like, at least my youth group, they really like went out of their way to try and make the shows seem like real
Mhm.
punk shows. They like printed up flyers at Kinko's with like magazine cutouts and like allowed for a little bit of light moshing, but then the youth
Yes.
pastor would come out in his flip flops and, hey kids,
Hey.
before the next band, I wanted to talk to you about a pretty cool guy named JC who, if you think about it, was pretty punk rock himself. So we'd get that.
That's awesome.
It is.
What are the other one?
Oh, yeah.
The OC Supertones as well. I remember
The
that.
OC Supertones.
They were a little. So all those bands were like a little past my time. I remember it was kind of like pop punk and like a lot of post grunge getting popular. So it was like Thousand Foot Crutch and Skillet and Under Oath were the big bands that all
Okay,
the
yeah.
Christian kids were into. But
Mhm,
very
mhm.
similar thing where it was kind of interesting how Christian music, which has not been able to do since that time, was able to penetrate like mainstream culture and tap into like the alternative music and actually be fairly successful. And some of those bands fairly influential, like MXPX. That's one of John's favorite bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I saw MXPX not too long ago, and they were great. They really sounded good, and I think that their new music is like pretty terrific. It's like, I mean, it's much better than their old music. I think. I think they've like matured into a pretty great band.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of left the Christian thing behind. I
Yeah.
even think I heard him say shit in one of his songs, which
Yeah.
never would have flown in the 90s. But Mike Herrera said shit in an MXPX song. You'll never believe it. But yeah, it is kind of fun to like check in on those bands and see how they're doing. And yeah, like I mean, I think like you alluded to, like so many of those bands like had modern rock radio hits, like
Yeah.
and maybe the ones that mentioned Jesus, infrequently or not like
Yes.
explicitly by name or yeah. So I think they all kind of had these sneaky pseudo Christian hits.
Yeah, they started kind of. I think they started MXPX a lot more aggressively Christian in the early stage. We covered their first record and we went through the lyrics, and it was so aggressively Christian. It was actually pretty unbelievable. Same with Under Oath. I think like their first EP, they had like this big anti-abortion song, which is like crazy to think about. Under Oath, like screaming about anti-abortion stuff.
Okay.
But as they went on and as like the mainstream started embracing the sound, they definitely, I remember watering it down where we'd always say like they replaced Jesus with the word you. So you'd always just hear you are my strong tower.
Right,
they would never say
exactly.
Jesus is, but sorry, John, I'm like going here talking about all this Christian stuff.
No,
but is there anything you wanted to ask Jordan about? Sorry, go ahead.
So Jordan, when you were doing like the little pastor impersonation, it made me think of, you're familiar with Guttermouth?
Oh yeah, sure. I saw Guttermouth not too long ago. Guttermouth's still real fun to see.
They had that one song on Gorgeous called, I think, Power Up, where it's like a parody of like a pastor of like a Christian rock punk show. I don't know if if you haven't heard that, like that is like a must listen, because the way you were describing the Christian show back then, it was like that to a T. So,
oh really? I haven't heard that song. That doesn't ring a bell. I got to look it up.
Man.
I'm sure it's hilarious.
The whole Gorgeous record is actually really good. A pretty underrated Guttermouth record. So you'd find it quite enjoyable, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mostly know Guttermouth. I've seen them a couple times, and I know them from comps. I mean, that was a big thing with me growing up, is those like $5 comps, and those always had a Guttermouth song on them. So yeah, I don't know any of their albums too well, but like, I mean, they're a fun band, and obviously had some great and fucked up songs.
I know, man. Dude, but we miss the punkaramas, man. And so in fat music for fat people, it's like I feel like comps just aren't the same now. Like some of them come out, it's just that had like such power of introducing people to bands and stuff. And I never knew this until kind of recently, looking at it, that punk bands were really the only ones who did comps that much. Like other artists would do it, usually bigger artists. There would be like some charity benefit, but punk was always like such a community thing of like, let's come together, all get on a record, and let's all help each other build up the scene and stuff. And I always thought comp records were always super cool. So yeah, that was definitely a part of me getting into punk rock music, was buying those Punkorama comps. People handed me that. I remember there was one called "This Is Horror Punk," and it's awful, but I listened to it so many times. It's like all the worst Misfit clones on one album, and I loved it. Did you have like any memorable comp that you remember getting that was like pretty influential to you, particularly? Or?
Yeah. Punkorama, obviously, fat music for fat people. These are some of the big ones. Give 'em the Boot. Give 'em the Boot was huge. The Epitaph comp that had a lot of like kind of more street punk and a lot of like two-tone ska on it. Mail Order is Fun from Asian Man Records. That had a lot of great stuff on it. And then as they kind of started to fold in, some of the more indie rock stuff, or some stuff that maybe like was kind of proto emo, that was kind of interesting to see, like those trends kind of start to seep into the culture. One of the first ones I got was OC Ska versus Punk Round 1. I don't know if there was ever a Round 2. I think
somebody won.
Yeah, exactly. Ska won. Punk disappeared after that. Every band was required to have horns. I think maybe like a Save Ferris was on that. Maybe an Aquabats. Youth Brigade. Maybe a Youth Brigade. Maybe an F- on that.
Ooh,
So yeah, OC Ska versus Punk Round 1, and I think those were kind of the big ones. Those were the big ones that were like in everybody's little CD wallet.
Well, we want to keep moving here, and we have like a fun little game we want you to play. All right, John, you think it's a good time to transition to this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I've come up with this game for you. So you sent us a couple bands that you're familiar with. All right. And based on this, I'm going to present you, or John is going to present you with a selection of emojis. And you're going to try to guess the album based on those emojis. Some of these are very difficult, so do not feel like a dummy if you can't get them. I sent them to John, and he was like, "These are pretty tough, dude." And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's hard.
So,
No, I'm looking forward to it.
so we'll if it's too tough, I'm going to give you the band, and then we'll move on from there. But John, go ahead and present Jordan with the first emoji here, man.
All right, here we go. Here's the first one you got to guess based on these emojis.
Is this the Ramones' "Rocket to Russia"?
That
Boom.
is the Ramones
There it
"Rocket to
is.
Russia." So baby steps here. Gave you an easy
Okay,
one.
yeah.
I didn't know that was
Man,
a
they're making
Russian
harder.
flag. I
You
would
know, let's all keep. I disagree. Let's keep them that easy. Don't make them harder.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime you want to interject and say anything about one of these records, like by any means, because obviously this is like probably my favorite Ramones record.
Yeah, me too.
I think so.
It's great.
You too?
Whip
Yeah.
saps.
Oh yeah. It's like it like never grows old. It's a timeless record. But
those first 2 or 3 Ramones albums, front to back, you can just put them in front to back. I mean, it's a 20-minute listen, but it's a blast,
That's-
front to back.
hey, that's John's favorite. He loves those 20-minute albums. He said
Oh,
the shorter
same.
the
Yeah, me
better.
too.
So,
I would have got
Well,
this
that's a
wrong though.
90-second song.
I gotta say, my guess was "Rocket to France." I did not know that was the Russian flag until this. But
all right, your American is showing it. So, but let's go ahead and go to the next one here. And all right.
Is this also the Ramones' "Road to Ruin"?
Yes, yes.
Hey,
Hey,
all right,
that is
another
Road to
banger.
Ruin. So, hell yeah. Okay, we got
Damn.
2 Ramones. There's no more Ramones. I'll tell you that right now to make this easy.
Okay,
So
okay.
we'll
Thank you,
move
thank you.
on from the Ramones. And what do we got, John?
a little bit tougher. I think.
But hey, no, this is a classic. This should be in everybody's collection. No effects. So long and thanks for all the shoes. Arguably,
man.
some would say the best No Effects album.
Yep.
Well, we said it was the best NoFX album, and we did an Epitaph bracket where we faced
Oh,
every
did
single
you?
Epitaph record up against each other, and this ended up winning. So it was a bloody battle. There was a lot.
Nice.
Some people were not happy about it, but
Yes, I imagine there's a lot of opinions about this issue.
There's a lot, yeah.
I got
Punk
some No
rock
Effects
never
albums
had
I
the-
like better, but this one's fucking great. It's so good.
it's amazing. It's my personal favorite. John's personal favorite, I believe, is Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah, this would be
So-
my number
Okay,
2. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a Wolves guy. I think Wolves is maybe their best album.
Oh, Fat Mike agrees with you apparently because there was an interview recently. He said he thinks it's their best album. He thinks the B-side's a little weak, but he thinks it's some of their best work. I think some of the stuff on there is like absolutely incredible. The bass tone is amazing on Wolves. So
Yeah, it really sounds good. There's some less essential songs on it, but
Definitely.
I mean the ones that are great are great. So anyway,
Yeah.
well, let's see if you
love to debate this issue.
let's see if you can guess this next one. Speaking of
Okay.
the devil here.
Oh, well, yeah,
There
this
you
is, of course,
go.
the classic mid-period No Effects album, Wolves in Wolves Clothing.
Oh, that's right.
Damn.
This was the one I was so excited to get when I was younger. Like I remember seeing double at the Triple Rock music video where they're in the church, and dude, I just wanted this record so bad.
Oh, I didn't know there was a music video for that
Ooh.
song.
You
It's
and
a
me
great
both.
one. Check.
Yeah, you and me
Okay.
both, man. I didn't know that either.
You guys never seen the double at the Triple Rock music video? It's like their best music video. It's like they're treating the bar like a church the whole time, and they're like dressed up and like it's amazing. Check it out. So,
Yeah.
I visited Minneapolis for the first time a couple years ago, and the Triple Rock had just closed down. I just missed it by a couple weeks, and was really bummed. Really bummed I'll never get to go.
Yeah, it is a
yeah,
bummer.
man.
I see. For me, I stopped watching music videos maybe like a couple years before 2006. I wasn't watching any music videos, so I missed it too.
Oh,
I'll have to
well,
check it out.
that's how I listened to all this stuff because I couldn't have the record, so I went to YouTube a lot of times to find this stuff. So, but let's go ahead and see if you can guess this next one, Jordan.
Oh boy, this might be a little bit tougher.
This is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heart Run Shit Toilet.
It's a
Oh,
band?
man.
You got it.
This is I got how could I forget? It is. I do think this is one of the greatest punk album titles of all time. Album/song titles of all time. This is Live Fast Diarrhea.
All right, you got it, dude.
Yeah.
25 points. We're adding points now. So
Great.
put it up on the board, John.
Is there like
So-
a prize you've added mid-game that I can look forward to?
We'll talk about your books. Only if you
I'll
can
take
guess
it.
all of these. I'm kidding.
Yes. No.
So
There's no better prize than a plug.
no, it's an amazing album title. I agree with you. Live Fast,
So
Diarrhea.
funny. I know. Yeah. Classic Vandals. And yeah, I mean, that album's great. That's, maybe the best Vandals album.
I agree.
Eh.
I agree too.
You agree? I'm a Vandals amateur here, so I listened to these a couple times. I definitely need to deep dive the Vandals more. But let's see if you can guess this next one here. You're doing great, honestly.
Yeah,
I was
perfect score.
Yeah,
This is tough. I think this is really tough.
this is very tough.
Oh boy, I'm magnifying glass. I look back, I watch back. Brain Sun. Oh boy, I don't know. Yeah, this one might
All
be
right.
too tough. I might go ahead and pass.
This one's super tough, but I'm going to give you the band. All right, the band is
Okay, thank you.
against me.
Oh, sure. This is Searching for a Former Clarity.
Yes, searching for a form of clarity. It was
Oh,
a
nice,
struggle.
Clever,
It was,
clever
yes, it-
use of emojis. Clever
Yes,
use of emojis. I
thought it was-
love this album.
Dude, this is my favorite Against Me record.
It's
So,
great. Yeah, I think
um,
I think like you don't hear it mentioned a lot when you hear people talk about their
Mhm.
great albums, and I think like yeah, I feel like when you see them live, they don't play it too much. I love
Mhm.
it. It's so good.
Oh, it was one of the first albums I remember buying from the Fat Wreck store. And if you listen back to this, I never realized, so I listened to it so much. I don't think a single word rhymes in the entire album. It's all basically spoken word, but how Laura is able to sing it makes it like it just
So funny.
seems like it flows. Yeah, like I forget what that's called, where you can rhyme rhyming words together. There's some sort of word for that, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, this is a great record, and I thought it was very clever, the emojis, but I was like, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So,
I did not get it either, Jordan. I'm with-
So
Well, I'll take a half point or
Yeah,
2.5
yeah,
points or whatever.
yeah,
Whatever
we'll
you're
give-
giving out for a partial
give-
answer.
I'll give you 12 points. So let's see if we can get this next one here.
Okay. Doctor Laboratory Science. Oh, is this oh boy, I'm thinking maybe thought of the Les and Jake song, The Science of Selling Yourself Short, but that is a song and not an album if I'm remembering my Less Than Jake discography. I don't know. Maybe I don't know this one. Science Tire Flower or Science Tire Rose. I don't know. Yeah. What do I get a hint? Can I get the
Of course,
band?
of course. It's the same band as last time.
Okay. What are the Against Me albums?
Concentrate on
Boy,
that
the
rose.
Eternal Cowboy. The Reinventing Axl Rose. Reinventing
Yes.
Axl Rose.
Yes.
Very, very clever use of emoji.
It was. I didn't know how to put reinventing, so I was like a scientist.
No,
reinvent
that's
stuff.
good. I think it tracks.
It tracks. It tracks. So this another classic record, but this is probably most people's favorite, I think, and it's pretty iconic. And where does this rank in
yeah.
like You're Against Me kind of like discography here?
You know, I think, an outlier in Against Me fandom in that I like the full band stuff a little more than the acoustic stuff. I mean, the acoustic stuff rips, and there's so many good songs on this album. I think as far as just like more satisfying albums, better songs, I think the late full band stuff is better. But like this era is a blast. I mean, it's why Against Me are so huge, and people still talk about them even though they're inactive. It's great. Tons of great songs on it. I will keep it in the rotation, but I think New Wave and Former Clarity and Transgender Dysphoria Blues are my favorites. But no bad albums in the discography.
Yeah, I agree. No bad albums.
Yeah. No, I'm glad
Let's
I'm
see.
glad you said that, George. I I'm kind of the minority too. I don't really care for this album too much, but New Wave is my favorite Against Me album, and all I hear
That's
from
great.
everybody is how wrong I am about that. So I'm glad I'm not alone. You know, Against Me fans are very passionate, especially about this
Oh, yeah.
Of
particular
course.
record.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Punk fans, passionate? I can't imagine.
Unforgiving, passionate, yeah.
Oh, what do we got next here, John?
All right, we got my favorite ska punk album of all time. Little bit of a hint.
Oh boy. So Long Rockview. So Long Rockview. Great Less Than Jake album.
Hello, Rockview. But that is
Hello,
correct.
excuse
You got
me.
it. You're mixing up So Long Astoria by the Ataris. And
You know, I probably am. That's probably. Listen to me. So Long Rockview. Oh boy, I'm gonna get roasted in the comments.
I know.
But thank you for giving that one to me.
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
Favorite?
This is, I believe, John's favorite, one of his favorite albums of all time. So
Yeah.
how big
yeah?
into Less Than Jake are you? It's one of your favorite bands. In it.
I love them. Yeah, I saw them do this album like on tour. Them do the Hello Rockview tour where they played it front to back. I like this album a lot. It's got great songs on it. Obviously, there's a couple that I like better, but yeah, hard to deny this one. This one rules. And yeah, I think the first time a lot of people heard of them because they had a couple radio hits off it, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I like it a lot. I'm always going to listen to a couple of these songs.
And then All My Best Friends Are Metalheads was on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. So the best
There you
song on
go.
Pro Skater 4, I'm going to say it. So, but I got, how many more?
Two
is there
more.
left here?
There's
Okay,
two left.
All right, there's two more here.
This is another tough one, I think.
Oh boy. Okay, we got some people doing sports. We got running, we got weightlifting, rowing, and then a couple of third places. Oh boy.
Seems like they're on a.
I
seems
don't
like they're on a.
know.
They're on some sort of third place streak. It looks like.
Oh, is this a losing streak? Maybe.
His losing streak.
I don't
by
know if
Less Than
third
Jake.
place is losing. I don't know if I would call third place
agree.
losing, but I'll this tracks. I'll take it.
Well, they didn't have a last place medal.
Sure, yeah, you're limited by what is available in the emoji keyboard. I realize, but
So
um,
this is, I think, probably, I want to say most people's favorite. I can never tell. Our perception of like a lot of people in our Discord server and fans of the channel love the more obscure stuff, the more 90s stuff. So I can never tell exactly where this places. But where would this place for you? Losing
I
streak
mean,
here.
it was my first Less Than Jake album, and it like has a lot of sentimental value for me. Like this album, I feel like was, in everybody's little CD wallet, regardless of if they were punk kids or ska kids or not. I feel like just even like super normie jock sporto kids had this one. Yeah, and it's got a lot of great songs. I feel like when I listen to it now, it feels super samey. It feels like, you're not getting a lot of variety. I know Less Than Jake have a very specific thing that they do, but like, I don't know. I feel like listening to it, like I like the nostalgia, but I like some of their other songs better. I think like MXPX, they're a better band now than they were back then. Not just musically, but like, they're better. So yeah, I feel like I maybe like the kind of mid-period later stuff better. I think Anthem is super great.
Yes.
Like
I love
Anthem,
Anthem. Yeah.
even like, I think the ska people don't like that there's not a ton of ska on it, but I think it's awesome. And yeah, I think Rockview is better than this one. Yeah, GNV, FLA, I really like a lot.
Underrated,
yeah,
dude. That's an underrated record.
yeah, it's really, really good. And totally just sounds like Less Than Jake too, And yeah, I like this album is like a classic for a reason, and should not be slept on, but like they got better.
No, I agree with you in a lot of ways. I mean, Gainesville, Florida, we used to call it Ginafla. Me and my friends, we would just say all the letters together. That was like our car ride record for the longest time. And honestly, I feel like Less Than Jake, people always say they left the ska, which they did, but I feel like they had a lot of songs that were just not ska to begin with. Like I feel like even on the stuff that has very little ska, there was always some ska stuff, but people always like to say they left the ska. I know a lot of.
Yeah, I know. I think the ska fans are sensitive
I
about
know.
that. I think it
I know.
happened with a lot of it happened with a lot of those bands as they kind of like got embarrassed of it and stopped doing it, or they
They started
tried to
doing
like
pop
pivot
punk
to
and yeah.
yeah,
it's,
sure. And there was a couple that went swing and no one liked that. So yeah, I like understand, but yeah, Less Than Jake have always had as many just like, a punk, skate punk type
Yeah.
songs. So yeah, anyway, and I think they do a good job with all of it.
Oh, definitely.
Agree.
And this is the last one we've got here. This one is kind of a joke, but it is an album. It's just going to be very difficult to guess, I feel like. But
Yeah.
go ahead, John, bring it
Yeah.
up.
I had no clue what this was. Absolutely no idea.
Oh boy, looking angel back, looking halo back, looking dead back. I don't know why I think the magnifying glass is looking, but I don't know. Searching, and we did use it for searching earlier
We
in the
did.
game. This is I don't think I got this one.
All right. Let me just say right now, it is a city.
Okay, a city. Angel, Los Angeles.
Yeah, Lost. Yeah, there it is. Lost Angel Less. Los Angeles. It is
this is by
X's.
X.
This is by X.
Nice.
Yeah, so that
Okay,
one,
all right.
I
This one, I don't know if this one tracks.
I agree.
But I'll give it to you.
This is like the X album I'm the most familiar with, so I had to find a way to incorporate it since you're an X fan. I was
it's
like,
great. It's awesome.
put this one last. It's gonna be confusing. So, but X also had, I believe, that this title track, Los Angeles, which was on. First time I heard him was I've heard so many of these bands off Tony Hawk soundtracks. Probably the greatest game soundtrack of all time, which was the title track Los Angeles, which is an amazing track. So, what is like your history with X here, real quick?
I kind of knew them as I mentioned the flashback lunch, the flashback weekend, the kind of little pocket on the radio where they would play, quote unquote older songs. So like 70s and 80s. Yeah. And like X were all over that. And I think like X, like obviously are very big in punk rock, but they are so famous in LA and Orange County, like outsized. Like, I mean, I think the Vandals too, and like, Social Distortion's another one where they're like so huge in Southern California, but like maybe a little more of a minor band, elsewhere. Yeah. So like X are huge and they like play all the time still, I think they've talked about maybe breaking up or this is their last tour or something like that. But like you could see X a couple times a year and it's always just so much fun. I love them and I think they're like new stuff is really great. But yeah, those classic albums are they're great front to back. And yeah, they're like, they're LA's the Ramones. So I think that like, if they don't get mentioned in the like punk history stuff as much, unless you're specifically talking about LA punk history. So they don't get.
They were in the decline of Western civilization, I believe. That documentary. They were, yeah.
Those are cool. Those are cool scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, they came out with a record last year as well, right? I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've listened to it in full yet, but I think they had a new record last year. But
I have. I listened to it. I can't think of the name off the dome, but I remember putting it on Apple Music and thinking like, God damn, they're still great. They like haven't missed a beat.
Well, you killed the emoji game, dude. So you did really well. You did better than I was.
Hints. I needed a couple hints, but
I had so low expectations for you. I'm kidding. I was like, I was hoping. I was like, please don't let these be so.
Like, this guy didn't know anything about emojis.
Yeah. Calls himself a punk. Doesn't he?
You beat me, man. You totally beat me, like 100%. I think you got 2 more than I did, so I was stumped.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you crushed it. Yeah, that was wild.
Love it. Fun game.
Well, we're going to pass it up to John here. And we want to talk about some of the books that you've been working on. John mentioned earlier Youth Group, and you were working on, I believe, one for IDW, which is Godzilla versus America, right? And then you're doing Marvel, which is Web of the Spider-Verse. So, John, do you have some questions about Youth Group? I know you had the book and everything.
Yeah, so Jordan, I was doing a little bit of homework before this, and I saw that you wrote for like Max and Disney Plus and Comedy Central, and like I said before, you crushed this book here. So I was just curious, like how you get into like a big name IP, like something like Spider-Man or Godzilla. Like how did that come about? Because that's amazing, man. These are like vintage
Thanks. Yeah,
IPs.
no, really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is kind of new for me writing for IP comics. Although I will mention something that I do like from my resume that we haven't gotten to yet, is I've written some Archie comics. I've written
Oh,
some
Oh,
Archie Chilling Adventures comics. So those are maybe a little tough to find these days, but I did some very cool issues of Archie Chilling Adventures. So like horror Archie, where they all get killed. So dig through your local comic book store for those. Those are great. But those were my first like IP comics. And yeah, Spider-Verse is my first one since then, and first one, for a big two company, first one for Marvel. So really exciting. It is a Spider-Man anthology book. So it's like three stories, three different creative teams, telling kind of multiverse Spider-Man stories. So my
okay.
Spidey, or the one I should say I did with a great artist named Sumit Kumar. Ours is like kind of an 80s punk rock Spider-Man. So if you think Lost Boys, if you think
Okay.
Near Dark or The Hunger, those kind of great 80s grimy vampire movies, that's the kind of little world we wanted to do the story in. And yeah, it's a Spider-Man as a vampire being hunted by a vampire hunter, Mary Jane. So this is
Oh.
in your local comic book store now as we record this. Yeah, so you can go out and grab Web of Spider-Verse New Blood. And yeah, as far as your question about how I got into it, this was a project that I was brought into by a great editor named Jordan D. White. Jordan D. White, a punk rock fan himself. Who is a big Vandals guy, big No Effects guy. Maybe I'll remind me. Maybe I'll give you his email. He might be a good guest for this sometime. Interesting
Oh
dude,
yeah.
Oh, right
funny
on.
dude. Um, yeah, and yeah, we've just kind of been friends online for a while. We'll chat on Twitter before we all left that, and Instagram and stuff like that. Um, I would always just send him comics when I did them, knowing that he worked for Marvel, and just kind of tried to be nice and not too pushy about it, and let him know that I was interested. And yeah, finally this project came up, and he thought I'd be right for it. So hopefully we made him proud. Yeah, in the world of comics, the editors are kind of the people who assemble the creative teams. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you are out there and you wonder like how a comics team gets put together, it's an editor. So the editor kind of finds the writer and the artist and the colorist and the letterer, and kind of like brings the team together. So yeah, and Godzilla versus America Los Angeles, that is a for charity comic, supporting kind of rebuilding after the LA wildfires. This is a
Mm.
cool comic, another anthology where Godzilla attacks and subsequently destroys LA. So if you want to see Godzilla stomp over your favorite LA landmarks and know that the money is going to a good cause, Godzilla versus LA. This comes out April of next month, April 30th. My story is with a great artist named Nicole Gu, who folks probably know from DC and a bunch of great indie comics, super talented artist. And yeah, our story is about Godzilla stomping all over a legally dissimilar version of Universal Studios. So if you want to see the Universal Studios tram escape Godzilla,
Oh yeah.
please check out our story in Godzilla versus America. And yeah, similar story. I knew the editor of this comic, Jake Williams, just kind of from around. We had met each other at some Comic-Con functions. I let him know that I loved Godzilla and was interested. And yeah, then this project came up, and we've been having a ton of fun with it.
It's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome. I love Elseworld stories. When I opted out of collecting comics probably a couple years ago, it was just getting too much for me. I was in such a collector's mindset, and Marvel was killing me, dude. They were just doing the biggest events after biggest events, and I was like, I gotta collect them all. And I'm like, half of these
Oh
I
yeah,
don't need, and it was
a
that.
lot of
But
variants, a lot of variant
lot of
covers. Yeah.
variant stuff. So I had to step back from it, but I'm going to check out Web of the Spider-Verse because that sounds awesome what you created there. And
Oh
Elseworld
yeah,
stories are always fun. One, there's not a ton of investment. You don't got to collect like 1,000 issues of
Right.
something. It's usually just an isolated story, and I want to see a vampire Spider-Man being hunted
Oh
down.
yeah.
It just sounds dope. That's just dope.
Thanks,
dude.
man. Yeah, and totally. And I think both these comics are very new reader friendly. I think if you are
Yes.
someone who collected in the past or only reads occasional comics, you can totally pick these up if they sound fun. They're hopefully fun for everybody.
No, that's awesome. That's what comics need sometimes. It's kind of like intimidating, especially like where do I start? And you just have stories
Yeah,
like these,
totally.
real simple, just like one-off stories that you can just invest into. Like that's great. So, John, do you have anything else about a youth group? I guess real
Yeah.
quick.
Oh,
We're coming to the end of the time here, but you got a second to talk about youth group though, Jordan?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Always. Very
Okay.
proud
Yeah.
of Youth Group. Yeah, I'll give you the pitch real quick. Youth Group, it is a set in Orange County in the 90s. The story of teenage exorcists who are in a goofy youth group. It is a YA book. The art is by the great Bowen McGurty. And yeah, in your local bookstore and comic book store now. I'm super, super proud of it. Yeah, it kind of goofs on what we were talking about earlier. The hip youth pastor who wears flip flops and sits backwards on the chair. So, in that little world, we have a kind of religious horror mystery taking place. So these goofballs actually have to fight demons and do exorcisms and stuff like that. So yeah, it's funny. It's a little bit of comedy if you like a Shaun of the Dead or
Okay.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's definitely a little horror, a little comedy, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. I would love folks to check it out.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to read it from what John said. John, have you read it?
I am halfway through this right now.
Okay.
This is my wife's copy, but like this is straight up my alley. Like Elliot said, I when you said Archie, I grew up on Archie comics. That was me, like
Oh yeah, sure.
the late 80s, early 90s. I was all about Archie before I got into like the Batman and Spider-Man. So I got to pick up what you said too, the Archie one. But this, for everybody watching right now, like go grab a copy of this. This is hilarious, really funny. I think a lot of people who are watching this can relate. So go check this out. I'm gonna have links to all the stuff that we talked about down below. So go support what Jordan's doing. Yeah, highly
Thanks,
recommend
man.
this.
There are no jokes about MXPX. There are jokes about jars of clay. So if you want to hear some jars of clay humor,
That's
Youth
like
Group
a
for you.
that's a what is that, like a Christian rock band, right? I can't even remember. Jars of Clay, correct?
They were kind of like
Grungy.
alterna rock, kind of like a Matchbox 20
Yeah.
or
Okay.
a Semisonic, kind of a soft rock.
Yeah, like
kinda band that
post grunge.
had some-
I vaguely remember them. Yeah, like is it post grunge kind of?
I don't know what you would call it. I think I
Yeah.
would just call it like soft adult contemporary.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe the roots of it are a little grungy, maybe. But yeah, just kind
Yeah.
of like pleasant maybe coffee shop rock would be a good way to describe it.
That'll like unlock like a hidden memory in my mind, like Jars of Clay. I feel like my dad had one of their CDs or something like that. He was also a big
Probably did.
Switchfoot fan and all these.
Oh
types of-
yeah. It's maybe a
Yeah.
little closer to Switchfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're here at the end of I'm blank there. The end of our time here, Jordan. So thank you so much for coming on, man. It's actually been a great time talking to you, going through just talking about punk rock and going through your books and stuff like that. And it's just been an excellent time. John, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up here?
Yeah, Jordan, I just want to see like is there anything else we didn't mention that you'd like people to know that you're involved in? Because I'd personally check it out. So if there's anything we missed, the floor is
thanks.
yours.
Yeah, no, I'm out there. I do some podcasts. If you want to hear me gab on a podcast, check out Jordan Jesse Go or Free with Ads. Those are one's a chat show, one's a movie show. Check them out where you get your pods. But yeah, most importantly, grab those comic books. Get to your local comic book store. Check out Web of Spider-Verse: New Blood, Godzilla vs. America, Los Angeles, and Youth Group. Yeah, I think they're all pretty cool. I think you'll dig them.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This has been Jordan Morris. Don't forget to check out his books. We'll have links down below. Don't forget to go to punkrockradar.limitedrun.com as well, where John up there is selling all sorts of merchandise. We have t-shirts, we have hoodies, we have small independent punk bands for sale. Rebuke new album. I can never remember the name of this, but it's a great skate punk record that just came out. Jordan, definitely check it out. If you have some time. John, send this man a vinyl.
Of course.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.